Do you think I went too hard on gay adoption?
No, because I think that you were very succinct and you didn't talk about hating gays. You just said that it's better to have a mom and a dad, which is absolute truth.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into episode number 2. We haven't been canceled yet. This is Mostly Peaceful with Dan and Chris. My name's Chris Hand. To my left is Dan Mandis. What's up, man?
We haven't been canceled yet, but this is only the second episode, so there's plenty of time. And I got to tell you,
That's a lot of potential.
there is a lot of potential. What a week. When you look at everything that has happened this week and everything that's probably going to happen like next week, I cannot wait to see how some of these stories ultimately unfold. I never thought in a million years, Chris, that I would see Donald Trump, and I'm a Trump supporter, that I would see Donald Trump turn his back on his supporters the way that he did this week related to Epstein. It's amazing.
It's been wild. Also, this past week, and we'll get to all the Epstein stuff, but this past week was my 2-year anniversary at Super Talk 99.7 WTN, the radio station that we work at in Nashville. And I mentioned this on the air, but I want to just give you your flowers here in person and tell you thank you for hiring me 2 years ago. You have dramatically impacted my life, and I am forever grateful to you, so thank you.
So I'm responsible for you being on the radio?
You are responsible. No, but seriously, man, like, thank you.
One of the best things I ever did. Hiring you.
And behind the scenes, Dan fought for me for like a while.
I did.
They didn't want to hire me. They said I was a bit of a loose cannon.
Just a bit. And you know
high
what?
High risk.
That whole loose cannon thing, you didn't disappoint.
No.
You did not disappoint.
Dan said all the negatives that you're bringing up are I had listed as positives.
That's exactly right.
No, but seriously, thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity here in Nashville.
It has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It has been a lot of fun. And, you know, the thing that I really love about talk radio, here we are doing a podcast, but Chris and I, we're actually radio talk show hosts, is that there's never a lack of things to talk about, especially with Trump, especially with, and you know what the thing that I noticed this week especially is that with Trump, you know, the left is always trying to call the right and Trump supporters as a cult. That's always the big accusation. Oh, y'all are just a cult, right? How many times have we heard that?
Every day.
This week in particular, with the Epstein conversation, really does prove that Donald Trump supporters clearly are not a cult.
Really, you think so?
I'm clearly.
I felt like this past week there's been an alarming amount of people who, because Donald Trump said move on, they go, boss said move on, we're out of here.
That's really disappointing. So let's
like I didn't think this issue would be so divisive. But it seems like it is just as divisive as where we were when we were talking about should we strike Iran or not.
Yeah, but here's the problem. And by the way, we can't go through all of the things that have happened this week with Epstein. So, and I think everybody who's watching this podcast is politically driven and motivated. So you know the story.
You can always click on live on the YouTube channel for our latest updates and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. But I think that part of what's going on is that this is a battle where Donald Trump, number one, he's trying to call this thing now with Epstein a hoax, just like Russia collusion and all that other kind of stuff.
Which is very confusing.
Well, it's confusing because it's disconnected. So you hired Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi and Kash Patel as part of your cabinet, very important cabinet members, as a matter of fact, and FBI and all that. Well, they made their living for years peddling what Donald Trump is now calling a hoax, which clearly, in my opinion, obviously it's not. But they made their living talking about this Epstein and the files all the time.
Yep.
And so how is it now a hoax? Now, you were looking at some folks online.
So, and online, I mean, you got individuals that are jumping out, you know, one side or the other. Everybody's choosing a side on this. So Riley Gaines had posted a tweet saying, like, you campaigned on this. What are you doing? Bricksuit, also on X, replies and says he never campaigned on this. And it's like, you campaigned on Law and Order. You campaigned on honesty and accountability. You campaigned on transparency. Then you hired 3 individuals who have been backing this the entire way. And then when the initial documents came out, phase 1 of the Epstein Files, before we got phase 2, which was case closed, Pam Bondi put out a press release.
Yeah.
And in the press release, it says, the Department of Justice is following through on President Trump's commitment to transparency and lifting the veil on the disgusting actions of Jeffrey Epstein and his co-conspirators, said Attorney General Pam Bondi. The first phase of the files released today shed lights on Epstein's extensive network and begins to provide the public with long overdue and accountability. That was released on February 27th.
That's insane.
Where the AG is giving credit to Donald Trump and his campaign promises. Kash Patel in the same memo. There will be no cover-ups, no missing documents, and no stone left unturned. Yet here we are in July, and it's move on. It's a hoax.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
It makes very little sense.
Well, Dan Bongino, he had all those years in talk radio talking about Epstein all the time. So I think that there's a number of things at play. Number one is you have Megyn Kelly. She came out and she called out Laura Ingraham. She called out Ben Shapiro. And she called out Charlie Kirk for basically running away from the story. And it was so incredibly transparent what happened.
Well, I mean, and that news broke relatively quickly that the White House was asking influencers to shut it down.
Yeah, well, let's do this. Let's because we want to play some audio here, some video. So let's play the Charlie Kirk video where he basically came out and he said that I'm going to walk away from this story. So let's play that.
Get you that in post-production.
And then he's going to add that in. You got that, the Charlie Kirk video?
We'll get it to him. I'll put it on that sheet. The important thing to point out in the video, though, is that Charlie gave himself a little bit of leeway saying, I'm done until new updates become available.
Yeah.
He did give himself an out. There are some influencers who are still just saying, we're done with this. We're done. Don't talk about it anymore.
But how can you, whether you are Laura Ingraham, Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk, they lose all credibility.
Yeah.
If you are, and I realize there is a difference between being a journalist and being an influencer, but if you're ultimately in it for the truth, then you can't just back off of a story because the president, a politician, tells you to back off. That should be, if you're an influencer, and by the way, I have mad respect for all of these people, but if you're an influencer, that should be fatal because you've destroyed your credibility.
Well, I mean, look at what we just saw with CNN and MSNBC over the last 4 years, where we all could see with our own eyes that something didn't smell right, and then they tell us, no, it's fine. It's fine. Look away. They ruined their credibility. How would it be any different if we turned away from this story the same way they turned away from the Biden cognitive decline? We would be guilty of the same grievances that we have with mainstream media and leftists the past 4 years.
Absolutely. Let's roll really quickly that Megyn Kelly audio where she is calling out some of the biggest influencers of our time.
You now have some MAGA influencers clearly on direction of the White House saying, okay, I'm done. You had Laura Ingraham go on her show on Fox News on last night being like, oh, well, after there was the pile-on at Charlie Kirk's Turning Point event, where all this Republican infighting, and then kind of suggested she's moving on from Epstein. Okay, she was part of it. I like Laura, but she 100% stood up there and fanned this flame. But let's not pretend that, some of the president's most loyal advocates aren't very, very interested in Epstein. They are, all right? However, some in the media let their loyalty to the president trump their journalistic obligation.
So here's the deal. Whether you are Charlie Kirk or Laura Ingraham or Ben Shapiro, don't gaslight us.
Yeah.
Don't gaslight us. We know what's going on. And we know that people, conservatives in America, want to know what the hell's going on with this. And here's the last thing I'll say on this. And then we'll, I guess, switch to Donald Trump and his reaction to this whole thing is that if you're an influencer, you're supposed to be the one influencing other people. You shouldn't be influenced by a politician ever. You should only be influenced by the truth.
Yeah, well, and influencers that thrive, they thrive because of authenticity.
Yep.
So the minute you start taking your talking points from somebody else, you're no longer landing in that authentic area that you need to be in to thrive. Yeah, it's a mess, man.
It is a mess. And I heard on your radio show, actually today, on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, where guy called up and he actually said, and I'm not throwing stones at Bongino, but he said if Bongino ever goes back to radio, he'd never listen to him because he destroyed his credibility.
Yeah, and Bongino, I'm surprised he didn't quit.
When all this was going down, do you know what I said? I said the only way that Bongino is able to keep his credibility is if he quits right now.
Yep.
That's what he has to do. Is he's got to quit right now. Now let's switch the focus to Donald Trump, because I'm going to say this comfortably as a Donald Trump supporter, where he comes out and he basically says that if you're still talking about Epstein, then you're no longer welcome to support him. You're not part of the MAGA club, and
It's crazy.
all of the other things. And I got to tell you that if you are a conservative, if you are a Donald Trump supporter, then odds are you have had someone leave your life because you're a Donald Trump supporter. They decided that you're a Nazi.
Yep.
And you've walked away. They've walked away from you, or they've called you names. Your marriage is broken up. Your kids have decided that they're going to disconnect because they can't handle you being a Donald Trump supporter. And I got to tell you that for Trump then to come out and say, well, you're no longer part of the MAGA club, I don't want your support. Are you kidding me? I mean, you want to talk about a betrayal. I will tell you, I felt betrayed.
I heard you on your show, and you called it a gut punch, and I felt like that was the most accurate description of it. Because like you said, yeah, people have sat in prison because they supported this man. People have been labeled domestic terrorists because they supported this man. People have had, raids by the FBI on their home at 3 a.m. for praying with inside velvet ropes at the state capitol because of this man. I don't talk to my sister because of this man. I've lost friends. I'm pretty sure my wife lost a job because of this man. Like, how could you?
How could you just turn your back on the people that put you where you are? And here's the deal. Not to belabor the point, but I can say this comfortably as a Trump supporter. You can't call me a rhino or anything else, but I'm somebody that have stood by Donald Trump with a lot of the decisions that he's made. I have done battle for Donald Trump on the radio.
Yep.
I don't agree with everything the man says or does, but at the same time, dude, really? Because I'm still, as a talk show host, talking about Epstein, you're going to, whatever it is, disinvite me from the MAGA club?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's insane. It's insane, but that's the reality of it. But the other side of it is people are criticizing him, but they're and this decision, but like we're also recognizing all the wins. Harry Enton on CNN had new polling for, was it Quinnipiac had a poll?
Yep.
And I think it was New York Times, if I recall correctly.
New York Times, Quinnipiac. I know Rasmussen had some polling out today too. But
even after all of this Epstein stuff, his support in the Republican Party is even higher. Like, we're not going to turn our back on you over this.
So why are you turning your back on us?
Yeah,
that's what I would ask.
Roll that Harry Enton polling real quick.
I mean, look, I think this one surprised me a bit because of all these complaints online going after Trump and the Epstein Files. You might think his approval ratings were going down, Republicans. If anything, they're going up. Republicans who approve of Trump, look at our CNN poll. The prior one, 86%. The one out this week, 88% were Republicans. How about Quinnipiac? The prior poll, 87% approve of Republicans. This week out, 90% were Republicans. If anything, Donald Trump's approval rating has gone up since this whole Epstein saga started. He is at the apex, or close there too, in terms of his popularity with Republican voters, Epstein Files, complaints, or not.
You just proved that not everything online is real
Yes,
in real life.
Who knew?
Amazing.
Twitter and X are not reality.
Is there any reason that you can find that this hasn't taken hold and hurt him?
Yeah. I mean, on X, all you hear about is the Epstein Files. But how about out in the real public? Republicans who said the top issue was Epstein case. The answer is one, and not 1%, One respondent. This is a great little finding that Ariel Edwards-Levy, who of course is part of our polling unit, found. Just one single Republican said that the nation's top problem is in fact the Epstein case. Not much of a surprise that therefore Donald Trump's approval rating has not suffered with Republicans because of the Epstein case. Because the bottom line is most Americans say it's not high up on their priority list.
I've never said that this was the top priority among the American people. It's a high priority amongst the base. Let's make no mistake about it. But if Trump had come out originally and said, guys, I'm focusing on immigration, I'm focusing on trade, I'm focusing on our economy, rebuilding the middle class, reindustrializing America, NATO, for peace deals. This is where I'm focusing. I'm going to let the DOJ do what the DOJ does. We all would have gone, okay,
no problem. No problem whatsoever.
Easy answer. But he didn't. He came out and he's like, when he interrupted Pam Bondi that first time, if he said all that, this is where my priorities are, the DOJ is going to do their thing, it would have been fine. But he didn't. He said, why are we still talking about Epstein? He's dead. Because he was blackmailing the world's elites.
Well, and here's the thing, is that I as a talk show host, I was right where you just said, where it's like, Pam Bondi, they're going to do their thing. I'm going to do my thing. But he came out and he started ridiculing people who had an issue with, the decision with Epstein. And he came out insulting people and questioning people as to, why are you still talking about Epstein? Don't you know the man's dead?
And the funny thing is, he's like, you're being duped by Democrats. But with the comments he's making, he's the one giving the ammo to the left that he could be on the list. Like, I've said ad nauseum, I don't think Trump is on the list. No. Attorney Bradley Edwards represented 70 Epstein victims, said Donald Trump was the only one that talked to him, right? Only one that gave him actionable information. Didn't have to dispose him. Only guy out of all the celebrities he reached out to. The Mar-a-Lago incident, Epstein went after an underage girl at Mar-a-Lago. Trump kicked him out of the club and never dealt with him again. He didn't deal with him post that conviction in the early 2000s.
Right.
Never had another business dealing with him or any kind of meeting with him after that. It's like, you're giving the left the ammo.
Well, so yes, he's giving the left the ammo, and he is also, in my opinion, turning his back on the people that got him there. And to me, there's two big transgressions here. I mean, obviously, the situation with Epstein, Pam Bondi dropping the case, whatever. So there is that. But to me, it is a completely separate situation where Donald Trump is basically turning his back on his supporters that a lot of us have sacrificed a lot for him. Again, not to repeat it, but the lost relationships and the lost friendships, that is a very big deal.
Yeah,
and so for Trump to just say, you're out of the MAGA club, it's like, well, he's not up for re-election. I guess ultimately, as we wrap up this part, do you think this will impact the midterms?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's too soon to tell. The way this news cycle's been moving these last 6 months, are we going to be talking about this in 3 weeks?
Well,
I don't know.
Here's the thing. Harry Enton was just talking about where Republicans are with Donald Trump, and he was spot on. It's about all the wins that the man is racking up.
Yep.
So
and there's a lot.
I would say the Epstein thing right now, not only the closing of the case or whatever they're going to do, but also Trump's reaction to it, I think both have been incredibly disappointing. However, we have seen a lot of wins as well. There's been something else that has been incredibly disappointing. And I'm going to let you tell the story of Chip and Joanna Gaines.
So this is it's kind of similar to the Trump thing.
It is.
It's like you build this group of supporters and then you turn your back on them. Chip and Joanna Gaines, fixer-upper, you know them. They have their whole Target line and all that kind of stuff. They've become really, really popular. I mean, even myself. Yep, bought my wife the Joanna Gaines cookbook. Yep, bought my wife the Joanna Gaines design book. Like she loved it. She was in on it.
Yeah,
they're good Christian folks, family folks, and we thought that they were good people. They have a new show coming out on HBO Max. And on HBO Max, they have the show. It's called Back to the Frontier, reality television show. It's clouded with controversy now because these self-proclaimed Christians are introducing a family unit into the show with two dads, which I don't know if you study the Bible, kind of doesn't vibe with the Christian thing.
Here's what I don't get. Either your brand is Christian or it's not. So when I saw this story, I thought, okay, so even if you put aside the whole Christianity thing, even if you put that aside, you have been branding yourself, Chip and Joanna Gaines, as Christians for a long time. And so now, all of a sudden, you got a family with two dads in your new show. So are you still claiming Christianity or are you not? Because if it's part of your brand and you have cultivated this audience with a whole bunch of Christians, now all of a sudden you are intentionally pissing them off because you know what the reaction is going to be with this.
Yeah, and they've been flirting with the left for a while. Here, real quick, run the trailer for that episode for us so we can give the people kind of like a taste of what we're talking about.
Arriving next for the ultimate digital detox.
Oh, look at this.
You guys ready? Yep.
Our Dallas-based dads, the Hannah Riggs.
All of your tech here, phones, devices.
Okay. What's first? No more work. No more emails. No more pings. No more bings everywhere we go. Are you guys ready to get rid of these devices?
No.
Alexa, good morning. I'm Jason Hanna. My name is Joe Riggs. We have our twin boys, Ethan and Lucas, that are 10 years old.
We bought a baby, it's a boy. That's kind of how I feel. Listen, I have issues with gay adoption, period. I think that kids need a mom and a dad, and I think that Christian families have been discriminated against in the adoption circles for years, labeled as bigots and not worthy of having children because of their Christian ideology. I don't think that we should be allowing gay couples to adopt. I just don't. And that might be controversial, but that's my opinion. As a Christian, I think that is awful. I think a kid needs a mom and a kid needs a dad. Chip Gaines, seeing the controversy that's surrounding this, he comes back out and he puts out a tweet and he's got a little heartbreak emoji on it.
Yes.
And it says, talk, ask questions, listen, maybe even learn. Too much to ask of modern American Christian culture. Judge first, understand later, never. It's a sad Sunday when non-believers have been confronted with hate or vitriol until they are introduced to a modern American Christian. Chip, if your definition of modern American Christian is lukewarm and milquetoast, then I think that defines you as a modern American Christian. You're not living out your Bible. You're not bringing your faith into those public spaces. You're doing the exact opposite. And you're crapping on an audience that you cultivated based on values that you no longer subscribe to.
And look up Franklin Graham's tweet.
Yeah,
and his comment on this, because I thought that he was spot on. And there's two ways to look at this, right? So you can look at this from a pure sort of Christianity angle, and then you can look at it as a betrayal of your audience and your brand angle. And so I think for me, why are you betraying this massive audience that you have cultivated purposely?
Yeah.
They knew this would be controversial.
Yeah, and they're getting the attention for it, which maybe is part of the goal, right? Maybe they think that, well, we've cornered a market on Christians, and now we need to expand, and we've kind of plateaued, so maybe bringing in the rainbow mafia is the business plan. Franklin Graham responded via tweet, said, I hope this isn't true, but I read today that Chip and Joanna Gaines are featuring a gay couple in their new series. If it is true, it's very disappointing. While we are to love people, we should love them enough to tell them the truth of God's word. His word is absolute truth. God loves us, and his design for marriage is between one man and one woman, promoting something that God defines as sin, is in itself sin. And it goes back to it's lukewarm Christianity. It's like, oh, love the sinner, but not the sin. It's like, yeah, but Jesus also said, go and sin no more, which was a very important part, underlined and in bold, that nobody seems to leave out. People love to really focus on the lamb side of Jesus, and they don't really incorporate the lion too much. And I think it's important to always point out, what would Jesus do? making your own whip, flipping tables is definitely within the realm of possibilities.
Well, I think that what's going to be interesting to see is, okay, so it seems like what they're really doing is they are writing off the Christian audience to go for what they see as a broader audience with going more mainstream, I guess, if that's what they are doing. But
I hate the American, the modern American Christian.
Yeah.
He did the meme. Have you seen the meme?
no.
Yeah, there's a meme. It's like, hey man, Jesus just gave us like one commandment, bro, which is to vaguely be nice to each other, man. As long as you're being vaguely nice by the cultural standards of the current time period we live in and completely ignoring the Bible, you're doing a heckin' wholesome Christianity, bro. Like that's the meme.
Yeah.
You're you're a lukewarm Christian.
You think it'll be a success?
No, I think it's already failed. I think it's dead in the water. I think people are already separating themselves from them. And I don't know this to be true, but I know Tim Tebow was really tight with them, and I like Tim Tebow a lot. They just had their first baby. Did you see that?
No.
Tim Tebow did? It's awesome.
Did he really?
It's so cool. Good for him.
Man.
Tebow was tight with Chip, and it seems like he's pulled away. He hasn't been close to them for a while. My wife has a theory. Do you want to know what her theory is?
What's that?
She's saying, I guarantee you, one of the kids is about to come out as gay or trans, and that's got to be what's baked into the cake. That's her theory. I have no idea.
You know, you can
We're just
love
spitballing.
and you can love your children, and you can, give them their space and all that self-discovery and stuff. You can do all that without completely destroying your brand with the Christian community.
Yeah.
Because I believe that Christians, ultimately we are an accepting group. I mean, there's individuals, obviously.
America's a Christian nation.
Yes.
I mean, we're not throwing gay people off of roofs.
Right. So I think
the most loving thing you can do as a Christian is be like, this lifestyle is not going to lead you to the places you think it's going to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have to do that.
But it's quite another for them to turn their back on the brand and ultimately do what they're doing, which is, at least again, it seems to me like they're trying to tell their audience how to think.
Yep.
And that's kind of what it feels like. I mean, Christians won't protest, but they will boycott. And by the way, this week, of course, it's like Groundhog Day with the Democrats, right? Because every day there is yet another protest. We had one on Thursday, and I'm going to tell you, I read the news at least 4 hours every single day.
Yeah.
Do you know that I didn't even know about the Good Trouble rallies that were going on this week? I had no idea.
Where are they happening?
Apparently all across the country.
Oh.
And do these people not have jobs?
I don't think they do. In fact, I think that a lot of them are getting paid to do some of this protesting. Did you see this guy, Adam Stewart? He's the CEO of Crowds on Demand.
Yes.
He actually got offered $20 million to staff, essentially, with protesters, an anti-Trump protest that's happening.
I'm so confused.
It happened on Thursday.
I thought that was a conspiracy theory.
No.
Not a conspiracy theory that the Democrats are paying these people to come out and protest?
It only takes a few months for it to become the truth. Listen to this. I don't want to do it. I can't do it justice. Play the clip from Crowds on Demand CEO Adam Stewart.
Have the organizers of the July 17th demonstrations approached you?
Interests aligned with the organizers of the July 17th movement have approached us. And in fact, we rejected an offer that probably is worth around $20 million.
$20 million?
Correct. I mean, this is a nationwide thing, right? It's not to say I would have made $20 million personally, but the value of the contract would have been worth around that amount nationwide to organize huge demonstrations around the country. But personally, I just don't think it's effective. So I'm not trying to call myself virtuous for rejecting it. What I'm saying is, I'm rejecting it not because I don't want to take the business, but because, frankly, this is going to be ineffective. It's going to make us all look bad.
So I asked Swart who exactly offered him the $20 million. That, of course, was the natural question, but he says he would not say, says he does not talk about who exactly his clients are, that it would be bad for business, and he's been in business for 15 years, and he has to turn down a lot of contracts. But, interesting, $20 million is it's a lot of money.
Oh, Brian, quickly, before I let you go, did he explain about why he doesn't want to be involved with Thursday's protests?
Well, he said he had some concern about violence based on what he's seen in the past, but mostly he just doesn't think that it's productive or really making a difference big picture about how the country feels about President Trump. And he says he just didn't want to get involved.
So couple things. Yeah. First, I think it's pretty enlightening finding out that he thinks that it's not going to make a difference.
It's not going to make a difference.
Secondly, when they said who paid for them, he didn't give an answer, but he said it rhymes with Forge Smoros. That's what I heard. I don't know who.
Is that what you heard? It's somewhere online.
Could be anywhere. Also, Schmalix Thoros. Yes. It could be anybody. It could be anybody.
There you go. And here's the thing. He is absolutely right, where it's not going to do any good because, and we played the audio earlier, where Donald Trump is actually very popular still within the Republican Party.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like you got a whole bunch of people, and a lot of them are being paid because if this guy isn't funding the crowd, then others will. And so how many people are actually really coming out and protesting? I think ultimately it's like a fraction of the American people, even the Democrats.
And I think that the other thing when he says, it's not going to change any minds, it's not going to do what we think it's going to do. Do protests do that anymore? There was a time in the country where a protest was quite literally to change individuals' minds. But it seems like now all we get is these self-grandizing protests where it's more, look at me, look at me, look at me, not let's focus on this issue that we need to change. There's never any what we need to change. There's never any solutions or options that they're bringing to the table like, hey, it would be better if we do X. It's just down with Trump, down with Trump.
That's the problem, though, with the Democrats is all they have is Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
One of the things I said in last week's podcast was I think Trump derangement syndrome is a good thing because it exposes the Democrats as a party that has no leader and they really don't have anything other than Trump derangement syndrome. I think the American people are like over the protests. They're over the whining. Because Donald Trump, he is racking up win after win after win. So I think the Democrats, if this is how you want to spend your time, just protesting one man, Donald Trump, who is clearly doing good for the American people, you go right on ahead.
Have you noticed that all the protests in Florida, they stay on the sidewalk now?
No, I did not notice that.
In Florida, if you encounter a protester on the street, it's legal to go thump thump. So nobody wants to deal with that, so they're staying on the sidewalks now.
Well, and that is obviously that law in Florida was in response to all of these knuckle-dragging idiots blocking highways and blocking streets and impacting people that may or may not have had anything to do with their own political opinion. There were videos of people that were like, dude, I agree with you, but I've got to go to work. I mean, how dumb are these people?
I knew this girl in high school. Two girls, actually. They're sisters. One of them just awful. I'll tell you about her another day. But one of them is just a lunatic, and she put her hands in cement and went on a highway in Boston. I remember my buddy Zach texted me. He goes, "Remember her?" I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And she's just sitting there in the highway.
That is
what
so
are you
funny.
doing?
You know what? And my deal is that if that's what they want to do, leave them there.
Yeah.
I mean, come get your cohorts on the left to come chisel your ass out if that's what you need to do. But no taxpayer dollars should be spent on chiseling out these idiots in their hands out of the cement.
Buy your own chisel.
Buy your own chisel. Put that on a hashtag.
We should do hashtags for the show. If anybody wants any hashtags for the show, you should put them in the comments.
There you go.
Jump into the comments. Also, we're going to need a little audience participation on this next segment. What do we call it? We want to do memes of the week where we find the best memes.
Mm-hmm.
But me and Dan are kind of disagreeing on what to call it. What did you want to call it?
I wanted to call it Memology 101.
Okay. And I thought that we turn the title into a meme itself and we call it All Eyes on Meme.
All right. So basically, what we did then on our radio shows is we asked our audience in Nashville at 99.7 WTN, send us your favorite meme.
Yes.
And this is the one that I thought was really good.
So just in case anybody's listening on Spotify and they're not watching on YouTube, because the podcast is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the things. It's a meme of Jamie Lee Curtis standing next to her daughters, and it says, Jamie Lee Curtis says nobody knows which of her daughters are trans, and says she wouldn't want to have it any other way.
Now, the funny thing is that if you look at the daughter on, I guess if you're looking at the meme on the right, clearly that is a good-looking female.
If you look at the daughter on the left,
clearly a dude in a wig. I mean, I'm sorry, Jamie Lee Curtis.
I was just going to say the daughter on the left had the cutest little Adam's apple.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, come on, man.
And then rolling into this one, another listener sent us a meme, and it's this one. It just goes right into Jamie Lee Curtis. But it's a Facebook, or it's a tweet. Somebody tweeted, maybe someday transgender people in America will have as many rights as guns do. To which somebody quote tweeted it and said, I can't saw the barrel off my gun.
There you go. Well, and by the way, going back to the protests of this week, one of the things that they were protesting is that the accusation is that Donald Trump is taking away the rights of the LGBTQ plus community.
LGBTQIA2S plus.
Yes.
You got to don't leave out the two-spirit people.
No, we can't leave out the two-spirit people and all that.
Those are the people that wear the wolf shirts.
Yes, that's exactly right. And
there are two wolves inside of me.
And
both of them want cheeseburgers.
And the thing too, though, with these protests is part of what the Democrats are saying is that Trump is trying to take away their right to protest as they're protesting.
Yes.
And they're doing like dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of protests since he took the oath of office. It's absolutely asinine. So again, I would say to them, good luck with that. Because all these dumb things that the Democrats are doing, and you just say, good luck with that.
All right, next meme that was sent in by a listener. This one's on climate change. It says, climate scientists warn that all Super Mario levels will be underwater by 2025.
Well, the funny thing is, and that goes right into all of the headlines that we have all been watching and looking at for the past many, 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 many years that have said that we would all be underwater or on fire or frozen because of climate change. Yet, here we are. So I actually saw, and I didn't really pay attention to it because I'm so tired of the climate change thing, but I saw some polling that shows that people just don't care about the whole climate change story. And I think the reason being is that we're still here.
It's become wallpaper.
Exactly right. It has become wallpaper.
Our next video meme, this is our first video meme. This one is about the Epstein Files. I think you could also change midterms to influencers, and it would have the same effect.
You know, I think, number one, just going back to the Trump thing real quick and how he is reacting to his reaction to the whole Epstein thing is that they're trying to make this an issue for the midterm elections, which is why the Democrats are suddenly for releasing the Epstein Files because they see the impact that this is having on the Republican Party. Trump is saying some of the things that he's saying. He didn't have to run for re-election.
Right.
A lot of these Republicans do.
And I don't know if you've noticed, J.D. Vance has been very quiet.
I think J.D. Vance and also Marco Rubio, there is a definite blast zone with this particular story, and they need to protect J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio from the blast zone because both of them, I assume, will be running for presidency in 2028.
Yeah, J.D. Rubio. I mean, that's a solid ticket.
That is absolutely.
I would also like J.D. Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Yes. You know what? We'll save that for the next one. We'll save that
I'm
for
a huge
number 3.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders fan. All right, next meme. Remember Elmo getting hacked last week?
Yes.
So Elmo was hacked, and I don't believe he was hacked. I think it was the real Elmo finally expressing his opinions and that he should be forced to resign from Sesame Street.
Yes.
But it's Elmo in full body armor with an AR, or is it an AK-47? It says, "Where's the effing list?"
Yep. That's very funny. Very funny.
That's one.
And listen, when you've got Elmo, you've even got Elmo in full body armor and an AK-47 demanding the list. Come on, Pam Bondi.
All right, next one was sent to us by a listener. This is also an Epstein meme. Epstein memes are hot right now as far as meme currency goes.
I'm so confused because Donald Trump said nobody cares.
Nobody cares. This one is Ghislaine Maxwell's suicide note. As you can see, it's being written by Hillary Clinton with Bill looking over her shoulder. And it says, "Lastly, I am truly sorry for all the hurt that I, and I alone, have caused. Goodbye, crew world, Ghislaine."
That is so funny. That's awesome. And you know what? That honestly speaks for itself.
Yeah, we don't really need to add too much to that. The next meme is can't afford student loans. And what we see is an individual with their face barely above water. Help, I can't afford my student loans. And then you zoom out and you realize it's about 2 feet of water. They're sitting down, and underneath the water it says Starbucks, cable TV, new iPhone, tattoos, cocaine, eating out, Gucci.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. There's a lot of self-inflicted financial pain going on these days. And that's not to discount. Yes, we all know that people are hurting, people are suffering. But to Chris's point and to the meme's point, there are a lot of people that say that they can't afford to pay off their student loans and they need the government to pay off their student loans when in reality, they can darn right well pay off their own student loans. It is not up to the plumbers and the welders and the construction folks to pay off your sociology degree.
Yeah, and speaking of plumbers, to quote the late, great Dusty Rhodes, "You don't know hard times, Daddy."
Am I going to get canceled by the wrestling crowd?
You already were.
Okay, very good.
That was when you wouldn't acknowledge Dusty Rhodes.
Very good. And I think this is a great time to stop talking for this particular podcast. So my name is Dan Mandis. Follow me on X at Dan Mandis Show.
I'm Chris Hand. Follow me at Chris Hand on air. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe and add your take in the comments on anything we talked about. We'll talk about this on air during our crossover segments, and we'll talk about your comments next week as well. And as always, you can send your memes to our Twitter accounts, and we'll make sure that they're featured on the podcast.
All right, we'll see you next time.